for lawyer Paul Adumoche atnase na nsama lawyer Paul Adumoche ede to join afa eye ban leshe chese koso ewo Akwatia na sentia MPP elusi ye anase MPP ntumi amfa ntuma pa emfra ewo Akwatia no eye lawyer Paul Adumoche ede nina tuja na nsama ye lawyer Paul Adumoche analysis so ye evidence ni ade de chire oka edugu epronsu ni na asem enam eye ban election so ye na ye nim abra no mo start ban election mo amunim bidibi betum anim abra na ntokwa bi ekoso eye Chief Azorka chesen kodin tokwa share eye afanyoma kem ni ade na senti NDC etumi ewini eye Akwatia ban election no eye lawyer Paul Adumoche aya analysis edini na begu ye punsom a chese sama ye lawyer Paul Adumoche kana busiafo enya sam ketwam na debia meka say NDC for do mo kasa dewe sa no moje yeti ha ena ye Akwatia for de betu ye nimu se ya de NDC for etumi ede ballot papers ni ade abehye dan bi mu wo ho na NDC for say kwan bi ombe wini eye Akwatia eye ban election be koso ho no ombe wini na wo hwe se ne ye na papa lawyer Paul Adumoche ede nsam ne exclusive ni ade egudwam o chechire nuomemu ode nsam bi etudwa na na che NDC for nuomo ya de ne so ahwe ni ya ebedu baby no ebeje wonsam na lawyer Paul Adumoche ede nsam bebre na na ode tudwa na che nsam bi ode tudwa no ni na che bedu enche bia no ban election foforo so ebesan so akoso a che enye asam ketwam na lawyer Paul Adumoche achema chire sentiam Akwatia ban election no NDC tumi efomontuma efra yomutumi ewini eye Akwatia ban election no nsam bebre na na ye lawyer Paul Adumoche ede etudwa mempepse mesawadaje no kamenho na menomenu no yenkoje ensam no nchiremu yi ankasa na yivia asanso ababeto nkomo
January. Are the delegates outside Akwatia more important than the delegates in Akwatia, given that the addition of the seat to the MPP might not do much? You know, and I'll give you another reason why the NDC needed to win this. I'll tell you. That's coming. So that's really happened. And as I was watching the campaign, and I had people in Akwatia, when was it, Friday, and I asked them to check. I was watching the campaign, it was beginning to look like that. Kwabene Japan, for instance, didn't find his way there at all, because he's going to make a calculation. So I go to Akwatia, a seat that doesn't add, doesn't subtract. And I go and spend money with delegates. And then they vote for the MPP candidate. Will they necessarily vote for me at the presidential primaries in 31 January? They might not. So he looks at it and says, Charlie, look, it's Akwatia matter. Let it slip. Now, the leadership of the party, who are now in the leadership, that is Henry Nana Boakye, very hardworking. Justin Kodua, very hardworking. Chairman Bute is representing the chairman. In fact, the chairman is not opposed. He's not feeling too well. So there are people who are challenging Justin Kodua. They want to become the general secretary instead of Justin Kodua sometime after January next year. They are not going to marshal their support and join a campaign that Justin Kodua, in his capacity as the incumbent general secretary, is running, so that the seat is won. Kodua looks good, and then he probably picks up an edge as a result of Akwatia over the other person who wants to be general secretary. So all of these underlining factors were big in the MPP campaign. It was so the MPP could not gather themselves together to take advantage of the division in the NDC. And then you saw the NDC with the government machinery effectively used. Julius Debra, the chief of staff, went there on his own with the Eastern Region appointees. Johnson Asiedu Ketia and the rest went in. Now they went in to fight, and they had the resources. The National Security, Richard Jakpa and co. were all seen in Akwatia. So this is the explanation from our perspective, and you can disagree with it. That's very fair. From our perspective, that's what it looks like. But you can think about it and see. So Brian Achampong goes to Akwatia, and he's in two minds. Should I go and spend 100,000 cedis in Akwatia? How will that 100,000 cedis inure to my benefit in January? Is it money thrown away? Maybe yes, maybe no. If we win Akwatia and the guy comes to parliament and we are 88, so what has happened? So this was a problem. And so I believe that this came at a bad time for the NPP, and no leadership at the top. The national leadership is on one leg because some of them are running again, some are not running again. This looks like it's their cup of tea. I'm running against them. I don't want to participate in this. I don't have to fit into this. All of those analyses are very, very important. So you saw that presidential candidate Kwame Japan did not even go there. Dr. Mahama Bawumia did quite a bit of work there. He went there more than once. But if Dr. Bawumia is going, and he's not going as a leader of the NPP, and he's going as one of the candidates for January, will I join him if I'm in Kennedy Japan's camp? Will I say, oh, Bawumia is coming? No. So Bawumia goes with his people in Bawumia camp. Kennedy Japan goes with people in Kennedy Japan camp and try and rack up some support in some parts where he's confident that the delegates and the polling station executives are going to vote for him. So it was really a big crisis period, and that is why the NPP were hoping that the NDC does not contest, because this was going very difficult. At a time when it's coming, it's very, 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 very difficult for them. And that's what happened, and that's what reflected in the results, except that we still don't understand how the exit poll showed such a big lead for the NPP, and eventually by the time the results were counted, the NPP had lost the election. So what shall I say to these men? Okay, congratulations for all of you. Dr. Osei Aweduchum also went in there. He went to Akwatia to do his bit. But again, if Osei Aweduchum is going, Brian Achampon's people are not going to go with him. If Brian Achampon's people are going, they're going with him. This one is going, this one is not going to go with him. But after January, they have one leader. And there's a timetable for national officers. National officers are elected. And they have formed one unit together. It is only then that we can test the formidability of the NPP, whether they've risen up from the doldrums of the 41% or whether they are going even further down. There's more time to look at that. Now, why was the NDC so interested? So somebody will say that the NDC already has 2/3 majority. Why were they so interested in Akwatia? I'll tell you a secret. There could be another by-election pending in Asante Achim. I don't know whether it's north or south. Asante Achim. The seat was won by an independent candidate who massively defeated Andy Apiakubi, massively, and won. It may well be that there could be a by-election, not because he has passed. No, far from that. No, he's not passing, and he's a young man. He's not passing by the grace of God. But there are some legal matters, some of it extra jurisdiction, that may occasion that kind of situation. So if the NDC does not win Akwatia, and they lose Akwatia to the NPP, it means that the NDC has, now this independent candidate I'm talking about currently sits with the NDC. So it means that the NDC has 2/3 exactly. 2/3 exactly. If they don't win Akwatia. Asante Achim North is more difficult for the NDC to win than to win Akwatia. Akwatia is easier for the NDC to win than that Asante Achim one. So if the NDC does not win Akwatia, does not contest in Akwatia and win as they have done now, so that they have 2/3 plus 1, and they remain at 2/3 exactly, and the Asante Achim by-election occurs, and there is the MPP win it, as Asante Achim is currently is an independent candidate, the MPP independent of course, but it's an independent candidate. But if the MPP have a candidate that wins it, and the person comes as MPP, then NDC were going to be short of the 2/3 by 1. So they will no longer have the absolute 2/3. That may be the reason why the NDC thought that, in spite of all the moral considerations, you can call them whatever name you want, they are going to Akwatia to deal with it. That's what happened. And then we can come to all the constitutionalists who are talking about there should be no by-election. There shouldn't be a by-election. Competitive by-election when somebody dies some say within the first 2 years, some say throughout the 4 year, some say within the first year. I think that there will be occasion enough for us to discuss some of these matters. But okay, so is that where's the actual results? Do they have the final results? If they have it, they'll send to me. But the final results from Akwatia is that the National Democratic Congress candidate, his name is Bediako Bernard. He pulled 16,896 votes. Currently, we are talking about 110 polling stations out of 119 polling stations. So with 110 polling stations counted, with what will be left then of 119, maybe 9 polling stations left. The MPP's Kwame Asumedu has 13,767, whilst the NDC's Bernard Bediako has 16,896 votes. Now, the 9 polling stations left will not matter because if you add all the total number of registered voters in the 9 polling stations, it does not. It's not bigger than the difference in the 2 candidates. That is to say that if you add all the 9 polling stations to Kwame Asumedu, he still does not assail the lead of Bernard Bediako. So, congratulations to Bernard Bediako. He is the elected member of parliament for Akwatia, and that's 1 more seat for the already humongous National Democratic Congress in parliament. And so most of the things that parliament will do in this 9th parliament will be attributed to NDC. The good, the not so good, and all the other things will be attributed to the NDC. That's the downside of having a big majority. If parliamentarians go for car loans now, and it's trumpeted by civil society and human rights watchers and corruption watchers, and they feel that there's a problem with the car loan, the general public are going to think that is an NDC problem. MPP had the same problem in the 2016 to 2020. Anything that went to parliament that citizens thought was not good, even if all parliamentarians were benefiting from it, it was always thought of as an MPP problem. And that's what is going to happen. When you have a majority, you always have to bite that bullet. But majority is very important for anybody.